Fujifilm users have all the luck. Their X series of cameras come baked in with Fuji film profiles like Astia and ProNeg High. And Fuji can do this really well because they have this legacy of film production that allows them the expertise to be able to do these great film simulations. I really wish Kodak would do something similar, or AGFA, that you could buy a camera with these really nicely built film simulations built right into them. Instead, what a lot of us photographers have to rely on is film presets in something like Lightroom or Capture One, where you take a raw photo and then you apply the film preset after you get it imported into Lightroom or Capture One. This is starting to change. Nikon has, red LUTs, and they built some film style presets into them. Panasonic is the same way. What I really wish, and I was saying this back in the days of like Visco picture profiles and RNI films and Maston Labs and all of those, was that Kodak or AGFA or even Fuji would come up with their own picture profile system or their own film emulation system that you can install on any camera. They could work with the Nikons and the Panasonics of the world to build out those picture profiles and be able to install those on your camera. I begged Kodak at one time to create their own presets in Lightroom, that would mimic those film stocks of years past, but nothing ever came of that. And maybe someday. I know there's a lot that they invest in film production, and they still want you to buy Kodak Gold and AGFA Vista and all those great film stocks. But I think it would be great for Canon to build out, an Kodakchrome picture profile that you could install on your camera and then go take pictures with. How do you install these picture profiles on your Canon camera? There's lots of other great content creators here on YouTube that can help explain how to do that, where you get the software, how to create your own picture profiles, and then how to install the ones that others have created, that you can download and then install on your camera. I'll link to those in the description here in the video. If you look really hard, there are a ton of these Canon picture profiles that you can choose from and install on your camera. And then when you go out and shoot JPEG, it's like shooting a Fujifilm camera with their film simulations built into them. Now, I've used the Fujifilm X series of cameras a couple of years ago, and the Fujifilm simulations, they were okay. I never really found one that I really liked. And in fact, the Fuji colors was never really my style. I'm a Canon user. I prefer Canon colors. I prefer the usability of a Canon system. But unfortunately, Canons don't come built in with these film presets. Instead, what Canon has done is built out a profile picture system, and they've had this for a number of years now, where you can kind of pre-dial in the presets and then install it into your camera. And then when you shoot JPEGs, those settings come built into the JPEGs, and it's like shooting a Fujifilm camera where with those film simulations, they get baked into the JPEGs. Now, I've spent the last couple of months testing a bunch of these. There's a ton out there. Some are free, some you pay for. I grabbed some of these free ones and I've tested them out over the last couple of months. So that's what I'm going to show you today. A couple that I really like. There's one that I didn't really like. And you can see for yourself what they look like. The first two I'm going to show you are from a package by Cinescopophilia. One is based on Kodakchrome, the old slide film from Kodak, and Tri-X, the black and white film from Kodak as well. The other picture profiles come from a guy named Thomas Fransen, who is a videographer and a YouTube content creator who has developed these film-like simulations for Canon specifically that are free to download on his website, and they've been great to try out as well. So I grabbed these picture profiles and I tested them out in a couple of different situations. In nature, in downtown Detroit, Michigan, around my own city here in Jackson, Michigan, and a couple of other locations where I installed these picture profiles on my Canon cameras, and I used a couple of different ones that I'll share with you, and then took them for a spin and tried them out, and I'll show you kind of the pros and cons of some of these, what the pictures look like, and it'll help you make a decision about using some of this stuff. With the Kodachrome setting, I installed this on my Canon M6 mirrorless camera and took it with my family on spring break to Detroit, Michigan. We stayed downtown for a couple of days and got to see the sights and go to a Detroit Pistons game and the Art Institute, the big art museum in Detroit. And we had a great time. It was a lot of fun. I installed the film simulation on my camera and then shot a series of video to test that out, as well as still photos. And this one, I think, was my favorite out of all the ones that I tried, because I like the amount of saturation that was involved. I like the contrast, and I just like the way these JPEGs rendered on my Canon. It just fit my style the most. Contrasty, saturated, kind of a little bit dramatic. It was a great film simulation to try out for me and my family as we hit Detroit in spring break. The other Kodak style one that I tried a little bit closer to home here in downtown Jackson, Michigan, was the Tri-X black and white film simulation. And this one was great too. I love the amount of contrast that I got. The tones and the range of the pictures was fantastic. It was just the kind of thing that I was looking for. Now with some of these, they say that they are emulating film, but that's not quite true, because no digital rendering of a film scan will ever be perfect, right? So one of the things that I noticed on the Tri-X renderings was the lack of grain structure. And Tri-X has this really unique X-shaped grain structure. That's where the name comes from, and that's what a lot of people like about the film. I didn't see any of that, and maybe it was because my ISO setting on my camera was too low. You could probably play around with it a little bit, up your ISO a bit, get some of that grain built in, or you can add it yourself in something like Lightroom. But I really liked it. I liked how it treated the files, but yeah, it's not quite exactly a film simulation. It's more just a black and white mode that you could adjust to your own needs and figure out if you want to play with it. From Thomas Fransen's collection, I tried out the Kodak film simulation, the ProNeg High, which he calls ProNeg High, and then there was a filmic portrait film style that I also tried out. The filmic one was interesting because I took it on a spring morning to a local park to try out some nature shots with it. And it was very nice. It was very saturated. Some of the oranges and the yellows turn almost a reddish color, but there was a faded black effect that I didn't really like. I like my blacks crunchy and dark and all the way black. These ones had that faded kind of film look to them, which isn't exactly my style, but maybe some of you could try it out and maybe you'll like it. The Kodak one I took for a spin. That was my first one that I tried out last summer. And that one was very nice. It was just kind of an overall pleasing rendering. You know, it was a nice preset to try out. And it's based on Kodak's Vision 3 motion picture film. And I don't know exactly how close that fits to it because I'd never used the film before, but I think this was an overall just a very nice general use kind of profile picture setting for your Canons. The one I really didn't like was the ProNeg High simulation, and this is where Thomas took, you know, the Fujifilm rendering and applied it to a Canon camera. And the blues were really strong, the greens were nice, but I didn't really enjoy this profile picture pack. I took it for a spin up in Leslie, Michigan. I took a morning and went up there and shot downtown a little bit. And the colors overall were very muted, except for the blues and maybe a little bit with the greens. There just wasn't enough punch there for me and my style. I also tried it with skin tones, and I thought they looked not very good at all. Like, this was not very pleasing, and this is where I really started to miss those Canon skin tones. The ProNeg High took all of that away and applied this really, I don't know, not very pleasing skin tone color to the couple of people pictures that I took with it. Personally, I'm not a big JPEG shooter. I trust more my raw files, bringing them into Lightroom and then applying my presets as I see fit. But some of these, especially the Kodakchrome one, I could really see setting my camera to capture both RAW and JPEGs and then take those JPEGs and just share those. In fact, I just recently did that for a baby shower with a member of my family. I used the Kodak picture profile from Thomas and then took all the photos during the baby shower with that picture profile and then just shared the JPEGs with my family member. And that made the editing process really simple, really efficient. I just made a few tweaks here and there, a little bit of cropping, that kind of thing. And then I just sent her a bunch of the JPEGs so that she could share them on her Facebook account or with her family, whatever. But it made the whole process very easily and very turnkey. The other thing I'll say about these picture profiles is that you can tweak them on your own camera. You can adjust the sharpness, you can adjust the saturation and the contrast and all of those kind of settings and dial in exactly what you need. Just like with the Fuji system, where you can take Kodakchrome and edit it a little bit to what you prefer. The same with these Canon picture profiles. Right within the camera, you can adjust the settings as you see fit. So thanks to Thomas for building these Canon film emulations for all of us to try. Give them a try yourself. You know, they're free to download. Maybe chip in a few bucks to Thomas for developing them, but they've been a lot of fun to try on my Canon 5D Mark II here. And while the ProNeg Fuji emulation hasn't been my favorite, the Kodak one is great, the Portra ones are great, so give them a try and see which ones you like the best. Now, there are a ton of these picture profiles. The first two I'm going to share with you today are a Kodakchrome film emulation from Cinescopophilia. Cinescopophilia. Oh, hi, kitty. What? What do you need? Can you say hi? I do.